Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you're listening to the podcast and watching, if you're watching on YouTube, today I have another truly special guest, a collector from Germany. He collects many things, including basketball cards, and I've noticed his collection on Instagram recently. And then I also saw a purchase he made recently with another former interviewee of mine, Brian. And I want to talk about that in just a second. But first of all, his name is Jorg. I believe, if did I announce that correctly?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. He also goes by wormsmaennel on Instagram and all of his other social media names. So once again, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you being your guest. Yeah.
Absolutely. So the thing that I mentioned earlier that I saw you purchase was a very fascinating piece, a very rare autographed Lou Alcindor piece. And when I say Lou Alcindor, I mean he literally signed it as Lou Alcindor, which, as many people probably know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, uh, before he changed his name, was Lou Alcindor, and he changed that back in like 1974, sometime around then. And so there aren't very many pieces that he actually autographed as Lou Alcindor before he changed his name. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking for that vintage stuff for now about 6, 7 years, and I've never seen one before. And it's it was affordable. So there are other things you are looking for that is don't know, Bruce Lee or Neil Armstrong. There exist some autographs, and it should be an autograph on a card at least. But you can't afford them if you see them. Yeah. So that was, yeah. I was surprised to see one, and I'm very happy that I got my hand on it. Yeah. So we'll have in Germany a Lewis in the autograph. It's great. So
No, no, it was a great piece. So, well, let's talk about what got you into collecting as somebody from Germany. We can start with your interest in basketball if you want to, or some of the other things that I know you've collected over the years.
yeah. Before I start, I just want to show you that comes together with that. I already have a Llewellyn Cinder swatch card,
Yeah,
and that is with a. It's not a Lakers, it's a Milwaukee swatch. Yeah, and I have the same one signed, but at least I couldn't find it for today. So that is my autograph, and I tried from all the trades. That was one of the aspects to get their rookie cards, an autograph, and something of a swatch or patch. So and what I think it's special with Llewellyn Cinder is for me it's the same like getting a Cassius Clay
yeah,
signed Muhammad Ali card. Yeah, I'm happy I got this one limited card from Muhammad Ali as well. And interesting in history, it's U.S. history, is all that what we call today that Black Lives Matters movement, the beginning, and they are still Jabbar still is very active in first time. So I think that is fine. And the last point at the beginning, I just flipped through the cards you show on Instagram, and I found a friend you have. Uh, I have the same. And knowing for guys who are looking for autographs, he hasn't signed that many cards, so we can be lucky we have one, even if it isn't an officially signed card uh,
yeah.
from Dennis Johnson. Yeah,
I was very happy to get that Dennis Johnson rookie autograph. That,
yeah,
like you said, I just posted on Instagram a couple days ago. Very, very excited about that one. So,
yeah.
so yeah, what
Yeah, so let me
did?
start. That is yeah, being in Germany, I'm born in '61, and we had where I began with the age of 5. Um, we have an author in Germany named Karl May, and he is how Germans in my age think the Wild West is looking. So he wrote books playing in cowboys and Indians, and they were movies as well, and that were like this. Maybe that's Lex Barker, the former Tarzan. So Stuart Granger played one of these, and and they had the cards from the movies. Yeah, so
Okay.
that was the first thing, and it was of my toy world as well to have these all together. And then I same time there started the fascination for the DC universe. So Batman, Superman, and we had in the 60s we got stories widely mixed from the US and the world finest, whatever. So there were stories from the 50s, from the 60s. So and there are every 14 days one new issue. But that was fascinating, and I I started playing basketball, and so collecting was more for comics, so not that many cards. And if you talk to persons from Germany about basketball cards, that are the golden 90s. We had some that it started that you just could get cards over here, basketball cards. So before that, there's soccer cards, yeah, that for sure, but no basketball cards or things like that, yeah. And have to know you can't compare basketball or sport in Germany with American sport. What is in America, it's high school, it's college, and pro basketball. And we play basketball organized in clubs and have leagues, amateur leagues. So, and in the 60s, at least our first league was amateur league, more or less, as well. Yeah. So, okay, I became older, and when I turned about 40, I thought, hey, you can't play that much anymore. How can you still keep in touch with basketball? And then I looked around. There was eBay now, and I started collecting Nowitzki, and I with with the age of 17, I joined a basketball camp, one of the very rare in Germany, and it happened that with the younger people, that Shrempf was in the camp. So I
Really?
can say I played against him, and I had a walk with him to the gym, and then we talked a quarter hour. He won't remember me, but that is if someone like that is so you know. So I said, hey, take him as a side collection, cause his cards are more or less didn't cost that much, and it's one of my first eBay experience. I bought his rookie card and gave the guy, I sold it from a negative course. I said, hey, that can't be his rookie card. There are 3 years of stats on the back of the card. So I was a total amateur with cards at this time. Yeah. So that's how it started. And what is a thing hard to understand for if you buy cards here from the US, um, it was a problem to transfer money to the US back in 1980 or 1990. Yeah, you had no PayPal. I used Western Union and sent letters with money in it and stuff like that. And when I got PayPal the first time, I bought a card, and that was with a credit card. They took it that way. They took some money from your account, and the last ditch you had to give them to verify your account. And I got my bill every 4 weeks, but I bought a card and just got my bill. So I had to talk to the one in the US for 4 weeks. Hey, I'll take the card, I'll pay you, but I can't in the moment because I don't know which number I have to give to PayPal. Yeah. So that was difficult times back then. It changed a lot, and yeah, so um, I put all my power to collecting Nowitzki, and I can say I had one of the I think worldwide best collections of Nowitzki. I got his first 4 years more or less complete. And if you like, you can look with under wormsmaennel in Flickr, and I show them there, and it's in the blowout forum as well. So that was a fantastic first step. And I said, okay, I collect all German basketball players that have cards. So that is easy when you are from Germany. you had exactly two players, Shrempf and Nowitzki. And then there are guys, maybe you have heard from North Carolina, Ademola Okulacha or Henry Grödel. They became even NCAA champs. Um, or Huey Plopp, who played in Dallas before, and Chris Welp with Philadelphia, and think so. I have the cards of all of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it happens that every time when a new German player the first time came to the NBA, his first game was against the last one who was in the league. Nowitzki had his first place game against the Supersonics with Detlef Schrempf, and Dennis Schroeder had his first game against Dallas
Oh,
with Nowitzki. So it's just a
cool.
coincidence that happened. Yeah, and so I can say I have in the end this collecting as a side and fun collection of Detlef Schrempf led to it's one of the three best Detlef Schrempf collections that exist to my knowledge. We have here one in Germany who has um, all the more or less all the cards from his active time, including many of the one on ones. And one of one back in the 80s is different from one on ones today. And there is another one with me. We have an overall of his cards. And I only took the first 4 years from Nowitzki because it became too many cards and too expensive after his 4 years. The first years were very easy. And I'm the type I like my cards in a binder. I don't like them uh, here in these fantastic plastics. Yeah.
It's
So
not too much. Yeah.
yeah, slap like that or PSA grade. That changed nowadays because the cards become it's too expensive. Or if you go to the vintage, you want you want to prove that the card is not a fake. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I had I had the Nowitzki Ruby in the binder, so I nothing. I broke them of the slabs. So that's
That's that's
no
fine.
no problem with that. But then um, at the time in the 1980s, there weren't that many patches. Even no, just no. I think they started at about 1994 or something like that. There was one patch in from Nowitzki in his fourth year. That was the first patch, and I had the number 001 of 100. So that was his real
Very
first patch.
special.
I had them had it in the collection, and I like to just to give what it means if you collect a player. The first 4 years of Nowitzki were one binder, and Detlef Schrempf more or less all his cards up to the 2020 were two binders, and Dennis Schroeder each season one binder. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I heard the Luka Doncic. It's about 1,200 rookie cards, so that would mean about 4 to 5 binders for the rookie season only. So you can't forget that I'm um, a,
It'd be.
a
It's
dying type of collector. Yeah, so that
it gets more and more overwhelming. Yeah, the more German players come to the NBA potentially. Like I don't know if you do Maxi Kleba.
yeah, and Mac Cleaver and Daniel Tice, I have the rookie seasons only.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because it
I
gets
tried that, and but I go now with Franz Wagner, our hope for more. I had some important cards. Let me see. That is, if you collect German players, there are two cards to me that are the the must-haves. That is a booklet,
yeah.
and it's the only card that shows
Oh,
all the players Nowitzki, Shrempf, and Schroeder on one card. Yeah,
yeah. I
and
don't. I honestly didn't even remember that. That yeah.
right, it's the Panini Europe booklet. Yeah,
Okay.
the preferred one. And the next one, and nowadays, and we are doing a body count how many of these cards are in Germany, is of course this one that is a Nowitzki Franz Wagner
Yeah,
co-signer. Yeah.
that's
And
very cool.
we have the one of one, we have a lot of the 10, and I don't know how many of the that is to 41 49 of the 60 cards. So we have a look.
Wow.
to
Well, I
get
mean, it's very very interesting to hear how you had to kind of start doing it way out in Germany back in the 90s, because I couldn't imagine going through that process of buying when eBay was still brand new. And so yeah, you're not talking about probably the most secure way of buying things even through eBay. And then just thinking about too how long it takes to probably mail stuff back and forth if you're buying, whether you're buying from the United States or even back then, I'm sure there's still a lot of cards that are floating around in Asia and other countries. But yeah, it's very interesting to hear that. And then just interesting to think about how, people attribute Nowitzki obviously with people from Germany's interest in the NBA, but people often think about or forget about Detlef Schrempf and the contribution he made, obviously, during the late '80s, early '90s, and just I think, I think people tend to forget about Schrempf and how he sort of started that fascination. I think with lots of people from Germany with the game of with the NBA in particular. Correct?
Yeah, yeah. That is you what I heard from I had a talk with that W Langley, and he told me that it was more or less the same in the US. If you want to see a basketball game and it wasn't in your town, you didn't see it. Even in the US, I thought that was just I couldn't see them because I'm in Germany. Yeah,
Mhm.
so we were happy in Germany when we saw 3 minutes of basketball in any kind of basketball in a sports show. Yeah. So and seeing NBA basketball, I can remember a clip of 3 minutes that must have been the New York Knicks and I can remember Jackson with his beard and long arms he who was running around. Yeah. So yeah, that was different. Um, and well, what I just want to say is when I I then came to an end with the basketball in this form, because as you mentioned, too many German players and too many cards. So the concept of it was easy to say I do the German guide because there was only one at a time, yeah, so more or less for a longer span, and so I saw on a card show from two Germans called Mr. Clutch and Bob Malone 32. They showed vintage cards on a card show in Germany, and before that card show in Germany, maybe you have heard about Kiki and the Big Brother store. You haven't?
No, I don't think so.
So okay, Kiki, he's quite well known because he joined the National and he did some writing about the National with photos. And the American guys they all were fascinated from the stories he wrote about the National. It was like you were there, yeah.
Yeah.
And he and his brother they opened a shop now, and it's a small town, and that was the biggest card show they did in that was back in 2019, the year before Corona, yeah, 2019, and that was about 500-600 persons, and that was the biggest in Europe just
Mhm.
to get feeling. Yeah, but there came people from even Nick Uriano from New York flew in. So we had someone from the states really there, but there are guys from really all over Europe joined that show. Yeah, and we had last year we had our first show with over 1,000 people, and at the weekend now we will have one with about 300, so it becomes bigger now here, yeah. And the community includes now the soccer becomes bigger and the Pokemon people.
Yeah.
They joined them. So yeah, we are growing a little bit over here. Um, yeah, so I saw vintage cards on that card show, and that, hey, that's my thing, and I started two things. The first was get all these old main cards, and main cards to me, that started with George Michael. Yeah, so I found out that was not that cheap to do so.
Right.
So, but I managed it, and so and the other thing was I'm interested in history anyhow. How did basketball start? Basketball overall and basketball in cards. So were the two projects I had, and they're the first how basketball or let's say, as I said, I managed them, and became with the Dr. J, and I tried the idea of having inscriptions on the cards. So I managed to get an autograph of with Chamberlain, inscription as well, with Bill Walton, Jerry West, or Oscar Robertson. But more important to me, it was to get really not only inscriptions, but to get the rookie cards. And so there is a Bill Russell, and with Chamberlain, and George Michael, and
That's that's
since
the that's the trio right there that you want to
that,
get.
that's for you right there, and here's the other one to who I have, and to save just for the George Michael, we the PSA one has a popular report of 30, and we have four of them in Germany. So
Keep
that
it.
is no others, but four of the PSA one. So
Well, that's really cool that there's been this uptick of NBA popularity in Germany, and I know I've certainly have noticed it. Not just Germany, but quite a few other European countries. And it's not just popularity in terms of those players from those countries playing basketball, but just the popularity of basketball history in general, and that stems from having guys play from your country, but then you learn about the NBA history and going back and wanting to collect some of the past greats, and so that's what you're seeing nowadays. I'm think is from what I've seen is that you're seeing uh, this spreading of those very important vintage rookie cards in particular to other countries, not just the United States. And so that's why you're finding less and less of those available, especially cards of a certain grade or cards that are autographed or things of that nature that are hard to find are getting harder and harder because I think more and more people from other countries are getting more interested in them.
yeah, I think so. That's the way it is. And another thing is, you know what these players did, and it's not just an expectation or a Zion Williams who plays good, but is injured after years, after just a few years, yeah. And from getting inscriptions to my most loved card I got. It is Nate Archibald,
Yep.
and the card says my rookie card. And okay, I think a shop owner told him he should write that. But it's what can you get more than a rookie card and a player who is aware what he's doing there for a collective? Yeah. So
That's
that is it's one of my treasures I have, yeah, because it's a one of the kind. And then what you just mentioned to me, I heard from Pete Maravich and Dr. J, and that were the two greats. And What did you know about them? I saw a photo. I heard some things playing on the court. Have to say, in where I come from in Worms, there were U.S. Army stationed, and that's where I learned in the end my English and a lot of basketball. Spent a lot of time there in the gym, and then I had to go because I had no idea, of course, and I had to wait 2 days and come back and whatever. But you only had the magazines
Right.
or from the Stars and Stripes. We were happy when we found out how the teams were named. Yeah. So and basketball English is the only part of English I can't do another thing when I hear that because I heard that on the radio, and that was so came so fluently then. Yeah. Um, and that was another fascination. That was the ABA, and that is another thing. I think nothing. You don't have to do that much about ABA because they are so great things and stories, and not as books, but just as the Terry Pluto in his book. But I found sites in the internet as well that just tell these absurd stories from the teams and the surroundings and whatever, and that leads to and I collect cards with an ABA ball on it, but I have 2 boxes full of cards only with an ABA ball. And if you do so, you get a Larry Bird card doing a 3-point contest, for example. So it's not only ABA, but it leads to in the end to Dr. J. And I just want to show two cards here, the upper deck chronology through the times, and that is to me is important because it shows both balls, the
Yeah.
AB ball and the other, and it really showed the development. And the to me, okay, I have it, but it's the best looking card I have is this one that is just from the composition, from
Yeah.
that is basketball and flow, and they could sign cards. They had not just so dot signatures at this time. So from Julius Erving cards, I I always think I have to wet my finger and have to look it's printed or not. So the way he signs cards, yeah, to me it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
so I had these things, and I've shown a little bit of the grades, and the other thing is from the beginning of basketball. So the real first cards, and it happened. I started to play basketball in the only YMCA in Germany. It's called CVJM in Germany, but there was only one YMCA that was renamed YMCA. So I had a connection to the beginning and Naismith and whatever of basketball, and I oops. And there is a discussion what are the first basketball cards, but I managed to get this one. It's from the 80s, 90s. So that is you can discuss is it a card or not. You can fold it and then it stands for itself. It's a the enameline. It's a oven polish, and
yep.
it shows a basketball, and okay, it's a card or not, but that's the first thing. Nowadays, you would say it's a cut card, and that's fine. No one would discuss it. Yes, it's a little bit bigger than the normal card, and the next thing in discussion are the Tetlow girls. That is from 1994, and so I got all these felts and silks, and that was fantastic to explore these worlds you've never heard about leathers, whatever. And I have more or less it. I have it complete. I don't have the Edmonton creds. I still like them, and I found out that a lot of basketball in the beginning, basketball was a women's sport.
Mm.
Yeah, they could no contact, and then they have. I'm looking for the card. They had still other sports like netball or korfball in the Netherlands that survived that, and so no one knows that much. And I have another pretty thing that is a ticket to a YMCA game from 1899.
Wow.
So
Well, I talked to Nick from basketballcardmuseum.com here recently. He would love to see all those pieces. Those are all the things he's listed, yeah, on his website. If you haven't gone there, you should go there and check out all the
yeah,
stuff that he found over the years from all the different countries. And yeah, it's great to see you actually have some of those in your collection.
and then come out. I have to show it other way. Then the Murat cards
Hmm.
from 1910. They are said to be the first cards. Have to look around. I can't find them. That is the netball. Ah, here they are. So so Murat came out with a multi-sport set, and that are these ones. You might have seen them. I don't know. There must be a fourth one. Ah, here. Okay. The Luther,
Hmm.
and that is college sport altogether. And what's interesting, you see, so this one is the real first because it's the first of these cards, and the others came a little bit later, but it's the same, and they have a second, and there exists a Williams, a bigger one. I didn't. That is
Yeah.
really big, yeah. And that is a thing. If you these are smaller than normal cards. You see the slab, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you see them on eBay, you can't tell the difference. You have just one photo, yeah,
Hmm.
for the thing. But that is very very big thing, and they send it via mail, and that was from Murat, a letter, and
Oh,
that's the way the cigarettes looked where they all were in. So you can say basketball or collecting cards in the early time for the baseball players as well. It wasn't healthy. You have to smoke
right. It
whatever.
was. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't candy that they were coming in. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So and the first German in the NBA, it's not other name, but he's the most known, was called Friedo Fry, and that was from in the 1940s, and I found a program, and in the inside with the team plays his name in that. So it's the try where you have no cards. You take everything you get your hand on. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So from the thing. So that was the story, and I had a look to what happened in Germany, and it is to there is another, yeah, okay, and in the 1936, I just want to show here this netball card.
Okay. Wow.
So that is netball, and
Yeah.
it's really a net here on the side, but there exist cards for two, and the first time, or here Korbball, you have,
Yeah.
yeah. So there is no board, and
Right.
it's played with a soccer ball, and the first German cards are these two from the 1935.
Wow.
Of course, what might be known or not, the first time basketball was in the Olympics was in Berlin in 1936,
Hmm.
and that is from the finals. The card. There exist two cards in two colored cards um, as well, and I have a stub from the Olympics here
Wow.
from this, but not basketball. But at least there's nothing on that. And James Naismith, he joined the Olympics. He was in Germany, and it was played outside on tennis courts. Because this one who did all the good things to Germany the years later after 1936, he decided that was a sport that has to be played outside. So the story goes. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a story you want to believe. Yeah. So in the final it was raining and they had these red mud from a tennis court over there. So I think it wasn't that much fun. And you find the clip on YouTube for 1.5 minutes. I just found it a few weeks ago. So you see more or less nothing about from these games. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, so that should be the first German cards, and the then we come to 1948. I already showed the card from George Mikan. That's the first basketball set, yeah, and then you have the 60s or in between here these from Gaudi. That is a multi-sports card. They show here
Hmm.
the sport in silhouettes
Yep.
on the ground. Yeah, that's from the original Celtics. And I think if you have these cards and see that are players that are second to for the first part of the last century or at best players, and more or less no one knows their name. So okay, there was no internet or nothing. Sure, they are not that much known, but it should give you a thought if you spend money for players who just started at the heights today, because no one will remember them. Yeah, I
Right.
said even here in Germany, I said if I drop names like Bobby Jones or so. They the players aren't known here, yeah, and I think a little bit it's the same in the US. You know the star, but ask who played um, with Bill Walton when they won their championship, yeah.
Right.
So and that is what happens everywhere. It's normal. Um, so I came to another thing. I'm more or less complete with everything, and then I thought, okay, try and collect things that have something to do with your life, and I think I will write a book. It's not about writing a book that I think I'm so important, but to know that people in the same age, even if you come from the US or not, the differences were the cultural differences were bigger in the 60s, 50s. You could tell just from the clothes if someone is from the US or he's from Europe or things like that. That happen don't happen nowadays. But I was looking for um, things that for TV series, for example, I liked, and I or think what I was fascinated of was the space race. Yeah, and as I already said, Neil Armstrong isn't possible, but I have a card signed by Bud Aldrin. I have John Glenn or whatever. But you come along with great things. Um, this is a Chuck Yeager autograph. So the first man who flew a supersonic flight.
Right.
Did, yeah? So pioneer of that, and I learned he shot down a Messerschmitt 262, the first jet fighter. So I didn't know that before, or I got from I think Tereshkova is her name. that was the first woman in space from the Soviets. And nowadays she's in the Duma and votes for Putin. So that are the stories of heroes that you can talk about. You can tell stories. Yeah, people
Yeah.
said to me, "Oh, you know so much about cards," and I thought about. I mean, that if you are in cards for more than 20 years, you know something. But I'm not that good in cards. But I buy cards where I can tell stories about,
Yeah.
and that is the difference for people. Or another example is Starship Enterprise. That is the 1996, the first Enterprise card, number one, and that is from 10 years later. And but then you have Kirk, and he's fighting the Borg. That is in one of the first episodes. These screen thing that was somehow funny. And then in the card business, ages later, you find a card signed by the actor who was a poor man who has been in that costume. So, so you get the whole thing, and that are things that fascinate me. Or for the political things, you have these Tommy Smith autograph
Very nice. Yeah.
from the Olympics, or the Walt Disney rookie card.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that are the things I I was in it now, and but there are other just easy things you have fun with. The card rights from Bonanza, that are card from the Netherlands, um, or to remember that the TV star Yancy Derringer. So we had that here in Germany, and to me that were night-long movies, and then I read were 25 minutes an episode. So
Yeah.
totally different from today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I never had, but would have been happy. The superpowers. You find cards, or later on Saturday Night Fever. So you can find what I just want to show is you can find to all the aspects of your life something, or here these Tom Seeger. So that's the first Spider-Man on TV appeared in the Sesame Street. So he was part of the Muppet Show, and did some, don't know, never seen that before. And
Yeah. Finding finding those things with the personal connection to you and to your life is amazing, and your whole collection is just an amazing sort of gathering of history, not just with sports cards, but with pop culture, obviously. But your basketball collection, I mean, you literally have like pretty much the entire history of basketball in your collection, and
yeah,
it's quite amazing, and it's I thank you so much for sharing that and to show us your collection, and it's just I find that personally the most interesting thing about collecting basketball cards is sort of being able to sort of collect pieces of basketball history essentially, and having that connection with those players and people in the past who made basketball what it is now.
yeah, that is so important. I just maybe a last point. I was lucky in 1977. We have a tournament here in Germany. It's a kind of junior world championship. It's nothing official, but it happens every 2 years, and was with the army in Mannheim. And in 1977, McDonald's. There were players from the McDonald team the first time in this tournament, in the American team. And I saw Magic Johnson playing in Mannheim as from his end from high school before he went to Michigan State, um, and and that was totally impressive. and he played against the Spain team in the end, and the Spain team were all the players that became silver medal winner and whatever. So though they were from the best European team to more or less from the best teams in the US there, and that was a fantastic experience. And what you say, you have an inner connection to this. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we do probably need to wind down, but before we go, I did want to ask if you could name your favorite Dirk Nowitzki card that you own.
Fun.
Do you have a favorite, or at least a couple that are sort of at the top of your list as your favorite Nowitzki card that you own?
Oh, the favorite Nowitzki card overall was the Star Ruby. I
Ruby.
have to say I sold my Nowitzki collection 2 years ago to another German collector, and to me it was important not to make money. Of course, it did cost something, but I can say the collection still exists, and that was the important thing to me. And since my basketball collections are more or less closed now, yeah. So I, for example, from Dennis Schroeder, his rookie year, I have 100% of the cards. There's nothing missing, and I have about 50% of the one of ones. So when I showed on Instagram 100 Dennis Schroeder's one of ones, that there was never the goal to get 100 cards. I started counting um, 2 years ago at that, hey, you're just missing 10. So then it started to become a goal. But it was not that I collect one of ones of him. Yeah. And so I would sell the whole collections, no problem. But to sell cherries, so I have to wait 10 years or so, then maybe I'm so old that I said, okay, cash in something. Yeah. But that never was a point to. I'm a diehard collector and not a that I mean that a player like Nowitzki becomes Nowitzki. You couldn't know in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's
lucky.
fantastic. I'm glad you got that collection fulfilled for yourself, and you found somebody to take it as a collection and give it a new home. And I'm glad you've got yourself fulfilled with just your overall general basketball collection. That's fantastic, and I'm glad you got to that point in your life because not very many people can get to that point. And so it's amazing that you've gone through that journey for all these years and started off doing it however you could internationally, and you created an amazing collection. It's a fantastic story. I appreciate you coming on and sharing it.
It's my pleasure. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, once again, you can find him at wormsmaennel on Instagram. He has a Flickr account and several other things. You can reach out to him there. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate the time. Thank you.